When I was in my 20s, I was a massive fan of Linkin Park, and I was even more in love with Chester Bennington. Something about him was magnetic, which is why when he passed, it was a sad day for me and many others. So when I saw this video talking about Linkin Park and how they exposed Scientology, I had to share it with you guys. Starting my day with a nice French vanilla coffee. Let me know what you guys are drinking. Thank you so much for subscribing. Now let's dive into the story.
The 41-year-old Linkin Park singer was found dead.
In the history of music, only a few bands have survived the death of their lead singer. I can name AC/DC, Lynyrd Skynyrd, In Excess, but that's pretty much it. You can change the guitarist, the bassist, or the drummer, but if your lead singer dies, the band's identity is gone.
True.
6 months ago, that's not what's interesting here. What's really interesting is that Emily Armstrong sparked some controversy.
And first of all, they mentioned that bands can't replace a singer, or it typically never happens. I still don't know how I feel about this, because she is not a replacement for Chester, although I think she does a really nice job. I just don't listen to Linkin Park anymore without Chester being there.
Because of her strong ties to Scientology.
You've probably heard of Scientology.
A religious cult that is known for its mental abuse tactics, countless criminal accusations, and even human trafficking.
But what goes on behind the walls of this religion isn't always glamorous.
Despite growing concerns from longtime Linkin Park fans, Emily has stayed completely silent. Why? Is Emily silent because she's on board with Scientology? Or is she being silenced by the leaders of this cult?
When you have a critic before you, you destroy those people.
And I think I've found something that completely changed the way I look at the situation.
There was a moment where I was just like panicking a little bit, just being like, oh my God, oh my God.
To be honest, things get quite weird and really, really interesting.
This is gonna be good.
Let me tell you a story.
The lead singer of rock band Linkin Park, Chester Bennington, has died at the age of 41.
Devastating day. Not only for music fans, not only for Linkin Park fans, but for the industry as a whole. He was by far a pioneer inside of the space. And when you learn about what he went through, which we'll probably get into inside of this video, it was pretty devastating.
This was the day we lost one of the most powerful voices of our generation.
Agreed.
Chester Bennington, the man who defined teenage angst like Kurt Cobain did for the 90s. Chester was an extremely talented musician, but he wasn't just a singer, he was a storyteller.
This is like a bad neighborhood, you know what I mean? And I should not go walking alone.
He was open and honest about the mental health problems that he carried.
I don't know if anybody out there can relate, but like, I have a hard time with life.
And a lot of people related to that. Presenting his troubled childhood and substance abuse with technical excellence made him into the perfect role model for a generation of angsty teens.
The one thing that can't be defeated is love.
And after his death, Linkin Park couldn't continue as he was just too impossible to replace.
He was literally such a genuine, caring, loving person who dealt with 6 years of abuse from another man when he was a child, something that he held within for a very long time, never shared with his parents, even though his father was an officer that was in charge of putting people like that behind bars. He didn't want to share it because he didn't want to be looked at in a negative way. So he held all of that burden and it ate him up inside, leading him to the substance abuse that he's talking about right now.
However, in late 2024, news broke. Emily Armstrong was pretty unknown to most people before she joined Linkin Park. If you were into the hard rock scene back then, maybe you'd know her as the frontwoman of Dead Sarah. But beyond that, she flew under most people's radar.
When she sings, do you feel like it's just like pouring out of her soul? Like
Mike Shinoda felt he had finally found someone who could fill Chester's shoes. But the fans, they didn't agree with that.
It's hard.
In fact, the fans were extremely disappointed. And the apprehension wasn't just from the fans, it even came from Chester's family.
It's not that Emily's a bad vocalist, it's that she apparently has the past that she has, and she has not, in my opinion, given an appropriate response.
In an interview with Rolling Stone, Chester's mother made a bold statement. And the reason behind the hatred was her past. Why?
I have to say, everyone has a past. Everyone has things that maybe they're not proud of or that they wish they did differently. So I don't always want to say that we should be judging someone or we should be judging her by her past. But if what she did in her past is currently going on this day, today, then I could see a problem.
Actor in Hollywood convicted of...
A jury has found Danny Masterson guilty of 2 counts of...
In 2022, Emily Armstrong attended a formal gathering for now convicted felon and disgraced TV star Danny Masterson.
Which I literally just put a video out on Masterson 1 week ago. You should go check that one out on the channel to see how Hollywood tried to protect him, and we're going to probably get into a little bit of that right here.
His crimes were too dark to even mention here, and the fact that the new singer of Linkin Park was a supporter of his didn't sit right with the fans. But Emily did give an answer. Several years ago, I was asked to support someone I considered a friend and went to one early hearing as an observer. Soon after, I realized I shouldn't have. I misjudged him. I've never spoken with him since. She clarified her position and acknowledged her mistakes. And people make mistakes, right? I guess problem solved. Not even close. In her apology, she said that she was asked to support Danny Masterson. Asked by who?
Danny Masterson was raised in the Church of Scientology.
Oh boy.
And it didn't take long for fans to connect the dots. Both Emily and Danny were members of Scientology.
I can assure you, we are not what you expect.
This glamorous image has built Scientology into a powerful, wealthy operation.
I've had a great deal of help from Dianetics and Scientology. A world without war and a world without insanity.
Okay, so what exactly is Scientology? By the way, can we change the music? We need something more serious. That's better.
Scientology is about you, yourself, and what you do. Religion is about the spirit, and Scientology deals with the spirit. We are in the tradition of the much older religions, Buddhism, Hinduism, helping the person as a spiritual being improve himself.
This guy right here is David Miscavige, the leader of this so-called religion. And he claims that Scientology is a religion just like any other, but it's not. Unlike any other major religion, it costs a lot of money to become a member of Scientology.
In order to progress within your church, it costs money, right? If I'm poor, how far can I progress?
Great question.
Well, I'll tell you this, by the time you start getting anywhere near the top, I guarantee you wouldn't be poor anymore, because generally people in Scientology do better if they honestly make it.
So essentially, Scientology is not for the average Joe. Scientology is something that is for the elite, which is why the Scientology pedestal is overlooking Hollywood. I actually have a documentary coming out specifically on Scientology and how it affects Hollywood in just a few days. If you don't want to miss that one, make sure you subscribe, because we get into the dirt.
This is how complex the class system of Scientology is. It takes years and billions of dollars to get to the very top and sit next to Mr. David Miscavige or Scientology's most famous member, Tom Cruise.
It's something that has helped me incredibly in my life.
Yeah.
And I've been a Scientologist for over 30 years.
Yeah.
Scientology is a crazy rabbit hole that we don't need to get into here. But there's one thing that's important for the story. Scientology is against psychotherapy.
Before I was a Scientologist, I never agreed with psychiatry. And then when I started studying the history of psychiatry, I started realizing more and more why I didn't agree with psychiatry.
And I think this is what concerned Linkin Park fans the most.
Psychotherapy, psychology, those people would tell you, this is your problem. That's a pretty arrogant position to take. Scientology, we show you a way to find out for yourself.
This so-called church actively denies psychology as a legitimate field of medicine, branding it as a tool to control and disempower individuals. And unfortunately, Emily Armstrong's ties to Scientology are undeniable. This is her at the Scientology Celebrity Gala back in 2013.
Wow.
And this at the Scientology Youth Camp. And then you have Linkin Park, the band whose music gave a generation of troubled kids a voice, whose entire legacy was built on destigmatizing mental health, now linked to a figure representing an organization that's against everything the band has ever stood for.
So this is getting a lot deeper than I even thought this video was going to get, because I thought this was more about just links and ties. But really, when you think about Linkin Park, the pedestal singer, Chester, he was always battling mental health and sharing his battles with mental health with his audience. Now, the new singer, she's the complete opposite side of the spectrum. And I'm not sure if this is something that the members of the band thought of when they brought her in. Was she just a voice that nicely replaced Chester's voice? Or was there more behind it? Are they trying to make a statement?
And then they come in the DMs, and like I made it public. I was even threatened by somebody claiming to be with Scientology.
You see, there are some evidence suggesting that Emily rejects Scientology. And while there will never be another Chester, it seems like Emily is carrying loads of childhood pain too. But if she wants to talk about it, she needs to be very, very careful.
Please welcome Ms. Gail Armstrong.
Emily Armstrong never made a willing, conscious decision to become a member of Scientology. She was born into this cult.
Thank you very much. Our global IS campaigns are designed to rescue populations.
Emily's mom, Gail Armstrong, worked directly for David Miscavige in Scientology's elite group, Sea Org.
What do you call the folks who are up at the higher level of your church?
Sea Org members of the church.
Sea Org.
Yes.
Sea Org.
So Emily's mother is at the very top of the ladder, and Emily had no choice but to grow up in this church. But does she really vibe with this so-called church? I don't think so. So why isn't she talking about it then? Well, I think it has something to do with how this cult operates. Scientology isn't just your ordinary belief system. It's an organization notorious for harassing anyone who dares to bring them bad press.
You realize there's a little bit of a problem in getting people to talk critically about the Church of Scientology, because quite frankly, they're scared.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm telling you,
Let me tell you. Let me explain something to you.
Breaking free from a group that literally uses brainwashing techniques and reportedly imprisons members for looking at the leader the wrong way is no easy task. Just ask Emily's mother. Gail reportedly spent years in one of Scientology's darkest secrets, a private prison known as the Hole. That's actually a thing.
Wow.
On the surface,
gross.
Scientology looks like this mystery religion where you gain deeper knowledge as you climb the ranks. But in reality, it's a $1 billion business run by one man.
That's always what I thought as well with Scientology. Now, I am no Scientology expert. I know quite a bit about it, but I wouldn't call myself an expert. But it always to me seemed like a business, a religion that feeds off of elites and requires tons of money to get to the top of the rankings. Sounds like a business to me. Now, another reason why they work with elites, like Tom Cruise, let's say, is because of his exposure that he gives to Scientology. Just being Tom Cruise, it puts a great advertisement for Scientology right in front of the media.
David Miscavige isn't just a leader, he's a dictator, and an erratic one. Like, just look at him. He looks like a shady Bond villain. And he has the right to punish people who violate the church's policies and rules. And that's what happened to Emily's mom. According to Mike Rinder, a former high-ranking Scientologist, Gail Armstrong was serving time in the Hole with him. He said that Gail was confined due to internal disciplinary actions within the church.
Wow.
So she was sent to the Hole. Whether Emily knew about all of this is unclear. But what's obvious is that breaking free from Scientology isn't just emotionally complicated. It can be downright dangerous.
I don't know other churches that demand to destroy people's lives if they leave and speak out publicly against it.
If you want proof of just how hard it is to break free from Scientology, look no further than Leah Remini. She was born into the church and spent decades inside it. But at 53, she made the bold decision to walk away. And she didn't go quietly. She produced a documentary that exposed what life inside the church is really like. And ever since, she's been harassed, followed, and threatened by the so-called members of this church.
What are you filming?
But there's also another layer to this. Scientologists are notorious for cutting off family members who leave, especially if it's done publicly.
And then I was just like, how do I tell my mom? How do I tell blah? Like, how should I tell? Like, and I was like, yeah, don't even worry about it. Just live it.
So knowing this, maybe we now should be a bit more understanding of why her past may have kept her quiet. It's understandable, but if Emily is forced to keep quiet on these issues, is she really fit to be the voice of Linkin Park? I think yes.
This is actually really broadening up because initially we think Emily is this evil Scientologist cult member, but then it comes back to maybe she's very similar to Chester, dealing with a lot of potential childhood abuse, being stuck within this cult, and she's been trying to get out, which could very much resemble Chester trying to get free of all of his demons. Maybe she is a better fit for this band than we initially thought.
And here's why.
And there are other people who they're hurting, you know, and they've got some stuff going on. And I want you guys to know if that's you, then don't be ashamed of that. It starts one thing. I don't know why.
When we think about Linkin Park, we're not just thinking about the music. We think about the raw emotion and the message.
Time is a valuable thing. Watch it.
And we have to remember that there wasn't just Chester. There was another man, Mike Shinoda. And he was also very vocal about his feelings.
Love him as well.
Especially when Chester passed away. Mike Shinoda even released an entire collection of songs on this. In the post,
like what do you call it, like Scientologists to teach you how to read, but all of the books were Scientology books, which is really kind of dark.
But don't worry, you don't just have to rely on Mike's judgment to protect the band's legacy. There are some evidence Emily is on the same page too. Her album, Ain't It Tragic, is full of raw introspection of her own feelings, battling with addiction, self-worth, and yep, mental health. In the album, she's not just singing about heartache, she's talking about real pain. In 2018, she dropped a track with Dead Sarah, An American. And these lyrics right here is basically an FU to Scientology.
I believe that.
Let me explain. She mentions sweating off chemicals in a bubble bath. This is a specific reference to Scientology's purification rundown, the controversial detox program that led to people literally die while trying to cleanse their souls.
The purification rundown actually opens the way to spiritual progress.
So by doing this program, you're able to, cleanse your body and be able to have spiritual gain.
And then she throws in this line about practicing what you preach. It's a direct shot because Scientology has long had a major problem with anyone who isn't straight.
The Church of Scientology is homophobic.
Their founder called it a dangerous mental illness. But Emily has been openly gay since 2016. And there's more. In 2024, Linkin Park released the first album together with Emily Armstrong. And in the song Casualty, she's singing, if this is true, we've come full circle. As fans, now Emily is hinting she's ready to share her own painful experiences of her past, just as Chester did 20 years ago.
Does Chester enter your mind in moments like this? Do you think about when you're trying to sing these songs and do what's right for the band? Like, how does he manifest in this?
I would love to do him proud,
In my opinion, Linkin Park with Emily in the mix might just be about to do what they've always done. Start important conversations that can help make the world a little bit better. Because when it comes to fighting for mental health and fighting for the truth, they've never been afraid to go all the way.
As I mentioned, Chester and Linkin Park were one of my favorite bands growing up in my early 20s. And we'll just take a second and thank Chester and the band for everything that they've done over the years and that they're continuing to do today. I personally have nothing but positive feelings towards Linkin Park as a whole, what they're doing, and the message that they're sending. I've linked the original video by Asa Park in the description as the first link for your convenience if you want to check it out. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, and check out this one if you want to dive deeper into either Masterson or Scientology.